William Nicol Drive has been renamed to Winnie Mandela Drive. Nicol was an administrator in the former Transvaal who named a road after himself. Johannesburg Mayor Kabelo Gwamanda officiated the renaming ceremony earlier. The unveiling coincides with Winnie Mandela's 87th birthday. The process to have the road renamed dates back to October 2018. Meanwhile, Gwamanda says the renaming of William Nicol Drive is a step towards dismantling the symbols and remnants of apartheid, while Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has called on everyone to look after the road as they would many others. Right, let's get more on this with SABC News reporter Mbalenhle Mthethwa. Very good afternoon to you, Mbalenhle. Take us through where you are and what's happening around you.
Well, good afternoon, Nzinga, and indeed, William Nicol Drive has now been renamed to Winnie Mandela Drive. We saw the unveiling of that placard just moments ago, and we had a very emotional and heartwarming ceremony where we heard from various people. We understand that this event was also attended by various dignitaries, including the First Lady, the Second Lady, Minister in the Presidency for Women, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, among others. The Premier, Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi, was also present here. And we've also heard many speeches just talking to how important it is to have somewhat of a landmark of sorts that then contributes or that recognizes the contribution that Mama Winnie Mandela made to the struggle. Now, I'm just going to read out something from that motion that was presented before council, and they said that the reason that they wanted this street to be named after the late struggle stalwart is because she stood for justice and equality, dedication to the plight of the people, love and respect of the nation, freedom and democracy, and creation of a better society. Now, one person who really spoke to this was Minister of Transport, Chikunga, who got very emotional during her address when she spoke about the fight that Mama Winnie was involved in and how she dedicated majority of her adult life fighting for freedom and fighting for a democratic South Africa, saying that they did not have schools, and she spoke against Bantu education, saying that there were no schools that were built for black children and that they went to school in churches, and that while this is a reality that many might want to leave in the past, she said we must never stop talking about this and remember where South Africans and how far South Africans have come. She also spoke about the issue in the past, that was the fact that black South Africans were required to carry a certain ID document which was different to the others, and she was saying that this was an infringement on people's dignity because it did not recognize them as South African citizens, and that it only recognized them as Dom citizens or Dom bus at the time. You will remember that bus that many people went around burning because it infringed on their democratic rights. But I'm actually joined by Loyiso Masuku, who is an MMC in the city of Johannesburg, but she's also one of the people who brought that motion before council and is the person responsible for what we are seeing here today. We saw and we heard Minister MMC for Transport, Kenny Kunene, really just saying that you were the mind behind what we are seeing today. Why was it so important to ensure that this street in particular is named after Mama Winnie Mandela?
Thank you, Bali. It was important because Mama Winnie is actually one of the people who fought for our freedom, We are here today. We have the freedom of speech. We have the freedom to associate because of sacrifices that Mama Winnie and others in her generation fought for. Mama Winnie was one woman of fortitude who stood by what she believed in. She stood firm to say apartheid is actually an atrocity and it should not be allowed. So it's one of the ways where we can honor her, immortalize her. It's one of the ways where we recognize and appreciate her efforts in our country, because Mbali, names carry meaning. Names have symbolism, and we must not just think it's an important element when you drive and you remember her and you say, this woman fought for our country.
Now, why William Nicol, to be exact, and not a street, say, in Soweto? Because I understand that it was between Orlando Stadium as well as William Nicol. Why this particular street?
Bali, we have to get rid of apartheid oppressive names. This is the beginning of a journey that, as the government of local unity in the city of Johannesburg, we have decided we're going to embark on. We can't be reminded of our oppressors on our own roads, whether it's provincial, regional, or national roads. So it's a starting point of saying, let us remove our oppressors from our daily lived experiences, because you drive on William Nicol, you connected to Sandton, you connected to Jan Smart's Hyde Park, you connect you on the freeway all the way to Four Ways, Diepsloot, and on the border of the N14 to Mthethwa. So it's an important road in our city, and we have to be deliberate in everything that we do. And Mama Winnie is one of those people who you would literally say, even if an entire area or country can be named after her, there would be nothing abnormal about that. But this is the beginning of how we are immortalizing her and appreciating.
Now, the other thing is that what you've spoken about is, her legacy, right? And right now, it seems as though there is a bit of friction between the ANC and the EFF in today's event. It's almost as though each party is claiming ownership of, the naming of the streets, and they are saying that they are the ones responsible. Each party is saying that they are the ones responsible for bringing this about.
Mama Winnie was a president of the ANC Women's League. She was an NEC member of the African National Congress. Mama Winnie was also a deployee of the African National Congress. You would have seen the family statement issued today. The family has thanked the ANC for putting this motion forward. Our late Deputy Secretary General, may her soul rest in peace, Mamu Jesse Duarte, in 2020 championed the public participation process, which would have happened in 4 ways just by the 2 BP garages. The ANC takes ownership of this motion. The ANC believes that Mama Winnie must be remembered. It is the ANC that put the motion, Bali, into the council. It is the ANC that saw it fit, and fortunately all political parties who are here today, you would have heard in the program, we acknowledge different political parties from the government of local unity, minority parties as well, who form part and parcel of the government of local unity, because that's Mama Winnie. She brings everybody together, and part of social transformation and cohesion and the unity that we want and nation building is actually what you saw today. Different political parties celebrating this giant, but led by the ANC motion.
Now, finally, as I ask you my final question, okay, the other thing that was mentioned here, we understand and we notice that some of the parties that are represented in council are not here. The Democratic Alliance is seemingly not here, and we heard the Premier taking a swipe at those who are not here, saying that they can withdraw their support for reconciliation if the need arises. What do you make of those comments? I mean, I'm not quoting him verbatim.
In my view, let me speak for Loyiso. In my view, reconciliation can never be one-sided. Reconciliation has to be an effort of all parties. Reconciliation must be something that everybody believes in. So it can't be one-sided. Because if it's one-sided, Mbali, it means Tina, kumele sikhohlwe. We can't. Our history is there, and history has no blank pages. And those who were our oppressors, if they choose or feel that it's not important for them to be part of the reconciliation project, then a discussion needs to happen. A discussion needs to happen on our nation as to why must it be only us who are pushing the reconciliation and social transformation agenda. I am clearly saying wonke umuntu has to put an effort into making sure that the reconciliation agenda of this country is advanced and championed by all political parties, because communities see their leaders, society follows their leaders. So if society is not seeing their leaders, it leaves a very, very bitter taste.
I'm told to wrap. Thank you so much. There you have it. That was Loyiso Masuku, the person responsible for bringing about the motion.